There's a strange kind of sadness nobody prepares you for, the sadness that appears after you finally get the thing you wanted, the job, the relationship, the achievement, the freedom. You thought it would feel different, you imagined relief, completion, maybe even peace. But instead, there's this quiet emptiness sitting underneath everything. And what makes it worse is that you feel guilty for feeling it, because technically your life improved. So why does your mind still feel unsettled? Visual, empty room with sunlight. Sometimes the hardest emotions to explain are the ones that arrive after success. And the reason this happens has less to do with gratitude and more to do with the way the brain builds identity around pursuit, but that only becomes obvious later. Problem deep dive. For a long time, your life may have revolved around almost getting there, almost becoming someone, almost finally feeling enough. So your brain creates a future version of you, a version where everything makes sense. You imagine, when I finally reach this point, I'll stop feeling this weight inside me. And without realizing it, the goal becomes emotionally symbolic. It stops being just a promotion, or love, or recognition. It becomes proof. Proof that you matter, proof that your suffering meant something, proof that you were never falling behind. Visual, person scrolling alone at night. This is why the anticipation often feels stronger than the achievement itself. Behavioral psychology calls this reward prediction. Your brain releases dopamine most intensely, not when you receive the reward, but when you expect it. The pursuit becomes chemically alive. Your mind starts feeding on possibility. That's why people sometimes feel more emotionally energized while chasing a dream than while living it. And once the goal is reached, silence, no more chase. No more emotional momentum, no more imagined future self pulling you forward, just you, standing in the same room, with the same mind. Visual, slow moving light patterns. And that realization can feel deeply unsettling, because many people secretly believe achievement will erase old emotional patterns, that confidence will suddenly appear, that loneliness will disappear. That self-doubt will dissolve. But emotional wounds don't disappear just because circumstances improve. The brain doesn't work that way. Neural patterns formed over years don't vanish in one moment of success. If your nervous system learned to survive through striving, it won't suddenly know how to rest after arrival. And this creates a hidden identity conflict. Part of you wanted the goal, but another part of you was emotionally built around chasing it. So when you finally get what you wanted, you also lose the version of yourself that was organized around pursuit. That's why some people feel strangely empty after graduation, or numb after achieving a childhood dream, or distant after entering the relationship they fought so hard for, because the mind was attached not only to the outcome, but to the emotional movement toward it. Visual, waves moving slowly. And there's another layer people rarely talk about. Sometimes the goal kept you emotionally distracted. As long as you were focused on becoming, you didn't have to fully sit with yourself. You could postpone difficult questions. Who am I without this goal? What if achievement doesn't fix the deeper feeling? What if I still feel incomplete afterward? The chase protected you from those questions until it ended. Reframe. This doesn't mean you're ungrateful, and it doesn't mean the achievement was meaningless. Your brain simply confused progress with emotional resolution. That's a very human thing to do. The mind is constantly trying to simplify emotional pain into solvable problems. If I achieve this, then I'll finally feel okay. But emotions are rarely solved that cleanly. Visual, abstract brain animation. In neuroscience, the brain prefers certainty and direction. A moving target gives the nervous system structure. It creates focus, purpose, predictability. But once the target disappears, the brain briefly loses orientation, like a GPS suddenly reaching its destination and going silent. And in that silence, unprocessed emotions become easier to hear. So the sadness you feel may not actually be about success. It may be the emotional backlog that success temporarily covered up. Psychological mechanism. Think of the mind like a treadmill in a dark room. For years, you've been running toward a light. The light represented hope, meaning, relief. And while running, your brain stayed stimulated. Dopamine rewarded movement. Anticipation created energy. The future kept pulling you forward. But when you finally reach the light, the treadmill stops. Visual. Treadmill slowing down in darkness. And suddenly, you notice how exhausted you are. This connects to something psychologists call hedonic adaptation. The brain normalizes positive change